Welcome to Garden Crafts, where forgotten bottles find their second life under the open sky. This isn't just crafting, it's storytelling with your hands and gardening with your heart. In today's journey, we'll turn everyday plastic waste into whimsical bottle creatures, charming planters, and glowing garden art. You'll meet cheerful elves with herb sprouting hats, royal princesses blooming with lavender, and even robots made entirely of recycled joy. If you believe creativity lives in the smallest details, if you ever looked at a bottle and imagined a butterfly, then this video is made for you. Remember to subscribe, leave a thoughtful comment, and gently tap that like button to help this growing community blossom even further. And don't forget, your garden doesn't need to be big, just full of heart. There's something undeniably cheerful about a garden that smiles back at you. On a quiet morning when the sun first hits the eastern wall, you might notice a wooden ladder nestled gently against old bricks, its steps not holding tools, but something far more delightful. Lined up from the bottom rung to the top is a parade of bottle-borne vegetables. A tomato with a wide grin, a carrot with scruffy yarn hair, a beet with a bashful tilt to its head, all made from used plastic bottles that once held soda, now transformed with a bit of paint, googly eyes, and a dash of playful imagination. Each bottle has been cut, shaped, and lovingly painted in vivid tones that feel alive. Their little arms, crafted from twist ties and paper rolls, seem to be reaching for the sky, climbing step by step, as if on a quest for sunshine. It's not just decor, it's storytelling. A visual fable stitched together with humor and heart, perfect for a backyard fence, a corner of the school garden, or even an outdoor learning nook where kids can smile and point, and maybe even get inspired to build their own characters from yesterday's trash. And when a breeze comes, you might swear those little veggies are laughing. Not all raccoons sneak around in shadows. Some come dressed in stripes so bold, they light up the garden like a row of candy-colored dreams. These little tricksters, made from recycled bottles, sit proudly on the garden edge, their black and white masks peeking from beneath coats of red, teal, yellow, violet, and green. You'd never guess they were once just water bottles, clear and forgettable. Now, with layers of painted tape or brush strokes, they've been transformed into curious creatures with perky ears, tiny paws, and bushy tails drawn in paper cutouts. Each one slightly different. Each one carrying a bit of the maker's spirit. They don't just sit, they interact. Tucked among herbs or balanced on windowsills, these raccoons bring a splash of color and humor, as if telling stories among themselves. Children adore them, grown-ups grin, and suddenly recycling becomes less of a chore and more of a celebration. Every garden could use a bit of mischief, especially when it comes in recycled form. Sometimes, all it takes is one glance toward a quiet birdbath to believe that magic still lingers in the garden. Here, where dragonflies hum and ivy leans in gently, tiny mermaids rest, crafted not from coral or pearl, but from humble plastic bottles that once held our daily drink. Their faces are hand-painted with care, cheeks blushing, smiles gentle, eyes wide with curiosity. Their tails shimmer in rainbow hues, created from sequins, old foil, or bits of iridescent gift wrap. Each one unique, each one bearing the joy of reuse. Placed around the lip of a garden basin, or nestled among pond plants, these mermaids seem almost alive. Their yarn hair sways slightly in the breeze. Their colorful silhouettes reflect on the water's surface, blending fantasy with the familiar. In a world often moving too fast, these tiny mermaids slow things down. They remind us that beauty doesn't demand perfection, just presence, just care, and maybe a splash of sparkle. In the corner of the garden where sunlight filters through tangled branches, a playful jungle has quietly taken root. Look up not too high, and you'll find a slow-swinging sloth, a cheeky monkey mid-swing, and a bright parrot peering down with a paper beak. But these creatures aren't made from feathers or fur. They're born from bottles. Once discarded, these plastic forms now hang proudly from homemade jungle vines. Strips of reused fabric, garden twine, or even braided grocery bags become their swings. Each figure is crafted with whimsy and care, painted soft browns, greens, and sunset reds, with faces drawn into light, each one frozen mid-moment, mid-motion. Suspend them low, where leaves dapple the ground with shadows. Let them dance in the breeze. Let them greet each morning with silent stories of reuse, imagination, and a new kind of wild. These bottle creatures bring lightness, not only to the garden, but to the heart. Sometimes the garden feels like a secret, especially in the cooler corners where moss spreads and shadows linger. It's here in the arms of an old hollow log that a parliament of owls has quietly taken residence. Though they don't hoot and they don't fly, these wise creatures are born from bottles. Each one wears a coat of handmade feathers, torn paper, cut fabric, or even curled cardboard, layered in the earthy tones of bark and dusk. Their eyes, big and bright, are made from soda caps or can lids, staring out with a softness that draws you in. An orange paper beak completes the expression, gentle, curious, always watching. What makes them most alive, though, is the green that grows from their heads, tiny ferns hanging succulents or trailing ivy. It's as if thoughts bloom from them, like wisdom in leaf form. And in their stillness, they remind us the most thoughtful things in the garden are often the quietest and the most recycled. Not all garden magic wears robes of moss or cloaks of ivy. Some come dressed in swirling rainbows, tie-dye and twinkle, sitting in silent laughter on a bench or peeking between marigolds. These wizards don't cast spells from scrolls. They whisper color into quiet corners. Born from used bottles and the leftovers of last season's crafts, each one wears a cloak stitched from scraps. Sunburst oranges, sky-drenched blues, playful violets bleeding into spring greens. Their hats stand tall, made from rolled paper or repurposed snack boxes, splashed with painted stars or spirals. Their faces, simple but expressive, smile beneath painted brows and curled mustaches. Some mischievous, others wise, all of them watching over the garden like spellcasters of joy. Scatter them along garden steps or place them in planters like miniature protectors of the soil. Let them brighten the gray afternoon or wave gently in the wind during summer's golden hour. These aren't just decorations. They're garden folklore, handmade. Some creatures don't creep in the dark. They sway in sunlight, upside down and grinning, with wings that flutter like laughter caught midair. These bats don't bite, they beam, suspended from tree branches or porch beams, their bodies crafted from the very things we throw away. Clear plastic bottles become their torsos, light and translucent. Their faces are painted bright. Big green eyes, toothy grins, cheeks dabbed with pastel blush. Their wings stretch wide, made from cut fabric or sturdy paper, fastened to sticks or skewers like little sails of joy. They dangle gently with each breath of wind, turning your yard into a playground of unexpected charm. These bats aren't Halloween ghouls. They're garden clowns, garden greeters. Their upside-down world invites you to flip your perspective, to see beauty in what's been tossed aside. They remind us that even creatures of the night can bring light into the day, especially when they're made with kindness, color, and a bit of leftover string. In a quiet corner of the backyard, where the tomatoes climb and rosemary spreads low and fragrant, a small guardian stands sentry. He doesn't blink. He doesn't rust. But he watches cheerfully, patiently, with eyes made from washers and a heart made from scraps. This is no ordinary scarecrow. This is a robot built from waste. His legs are stacked from bottles, sturdy and tall. His arms swing with help from wire and caps. His body, a wooden box or crate, holds soil where green shoots now peek through. What was once destined for the bin now breathes with purpose, rooted in both play and intention. Place him near the veggie patch or among the zinnias. Let him greet the bees. Let him amuse the neighbors. Children will name him. Adults will pause. And the garden somehow feels more protected, more personal. This robot doesn't hum or beep, but he speaks to creativity, to resilience, to the joy of making something lovely from everything left behind. If you follow the line of the garden fence, just above the daisies and morning glories, you might catch a trail of cheerful ladybugs mid-ascent. But look closely. These aren't the beetles you've seen before. These are bottle-born, handmade, and smiling. Each one began as a plastic bottle, discarded and forgotten. With a few brushstrokes in rich cherry red and jet black, they took on a new life. Their shells gleam with polka dots. Their wire antennae curl skyward like curious tendrils. Some wear winks. Others grin broadly. All of them invite a little joy wherever they perch, mounted to wooden posts or propped up on slender stakes. They seem to climb, as if chasing sunbeams or whispering encouragement to the nearby beans and zinnias. They're more than cute. They're gentle mascots of garden joy, perfect for teaching children about nature and recycling, or for simply adding a touch of friendly movement to still spaces. With just a few steps, these bottle bugs crawl their way from trash to treasure. Out here in the garden range, there's a quiet patrol keeping watch, not with boots and spurs, but with smiles, hats, and an eye for mischief. These cowboys don't ride horses. They ride fences. Sitting tall and painted proud, they bring a bit of the Wild West of the backyard. Each one is made from a humble plastic bottle, dressed up in cheerful blue, dusty brown, or sunshine yellow. Their faces are painted with old-fashioned charm, bushy mustaches, rosy cheeks, and wide, honest eyes. Around their necks hang scrap fabric bandanas. Atop their heads, hats cut from cardboard or felt, curved just enough to say, howdy, mounted along the top rail of a garden fence or peeking between bean trellises. They bring personality to the perimeter. They don't move. They don't speak. But their presence makes you smile. Set them up in a line, and suddenly the fence feels less like a boundary and more like a stage. These cowboys may be made of plastic, but they tell a tale of second chances and sunlit afternoons. Some garden guests don't fly or buzz. They snort, they grin, they carry flowers on their backs, and seem to smile up at you from the soil. These piggy planters, born from leftover plastic bottles, are small in size but enormous in charm. Painted soft shades of pink with tiny hooves and bottle cap snouts, They sit nestled among blooms or perch proudly on porch steps. Their ears, cut from paper or craft foam, flop slightly in the breeze, while cheerful greenery or blossoms sprout joyfully from their open backs. Each one begins as trash, a bottle no one wanted, but with a little paint, a touch of creativity, and just a handful of dirt and seeds, it becomes something altogether delightful. Not only a planter, but a character, a companion to the marigolds, a smile for the passing gardener. And sometimes what we throw away could have grown ears, if only we let it. In one quiet corner of the yard, where old tools lean and time slows down, something unexpected takes flight. Not from the ground, but from the rusted frame of a forgotten bicycle, now reborn with wings. Butterfly wings, to be exact, made from recycled plastic bottles. Each wing is cut with care and painted by hand. Vivid spirals, delicate lines, edges outlined in black like nature's finest calligraphy. They shimmer in the light. They dance with the wind. And together, they turn what was once just scrap metal into a sculpture of movement and memory. The bicycle doesn't move anymore, but it tells a story of color, of second chances, of seeing magic where others see junk. Surround the sculpture with flowers if you like, or let it stand solitary, an ode to flight, grounded but dreaming. This is more than upcycling. It's art made from what was broken, joy made visible. There's a different kind of magic in the garden, not the kind that shouts or flashes, but the kind that lingers in laughter, in lavender-scented wind, in a quiet corner where tiny sorcerers stand guard over soil. These garden wizards were once bottles, tossed aside, emptied, forgotten. Now, they stand tall with paper hats, flowing yarn beards, and tiny painted eyes that seem to twinkle even when the sun hides behind clouds. Each one carries a wand, crafted from a twig, topped with a foil star, or wrapped in string. Their robes, made from painted paper or old fabrics, are brushed in deep hues, twilight purples, midnight blues, stardust silver. And their presence brings more than decor. It brings whimsy, a breath of folklore beneath the rose bush. These figures don't cast real spells, but they transform a space nonetheless. They turn a simple patch of soil into a realm of possibility, where imagination roots deep and grows. Sometimes the garden breathes slower. Not everything moves fast. In the stillness of an early morning, where the air is soft and the stones still cool, you might find a quiet trail of snails making their way, slowly, silently, along the garden's edge. But these aren't your typical garden snails. Their bodies are crafted from plastic bottles, shaped and painted with care. Each wears a different shell. Some coil from twine, others curl from bark or old buttons. Their antennae bounce gently in the breeze, made from thin wire or floral stems, their tips adorned with beads or bits of found treasure. They crawl in formation along the path, not to munch, but to charm. A border of gentle guardians, a story unfolding 1 inch at a time. These bottle snails don't rush. They remind us that beauty meanders, that even the slowest creatures have stories worth telling, especially when they're made from what the world was ready to throw away. When the garden begins to whisper goodnight and the sky blurs into indigo, a soft flicker stirs among the leaves. Small glows like memories floating in the air. These are not the fireflies of summer fields. These are ones you made yourself. From bottles, from sunlight, crafted from clear plastic bottles. Each firefly holds a warm solar light tucked gently inside. Their wings are shaped from repurposed plastic or garden mesh. Their antennae curl upward with garden wire or pipe cleaner, and their soft glow arrives just as the last daylight disappears. They don't buzz. They don't flee. They hover in stillness, suspended from branches, pergolas, or fence lines, casting gentle halos over petunias and pebble paths. These glowing creatures are more than decoration. They are beacons of joy, crafted from castaways, symbols of quiet brilliance that remind us even waste can shine again if we let it gather light. There's a little gate in the garden that doesn't just open, it celebrates, because right above its hinges, a parade takes flight. Bottle bugs, frozen midair, swirl in a line of color, cheer, and unlikely charm. Made from the most overlooked things, soda bottles, wrappers, straws, bottle caps. Each bug hums with handmade energy. Their wings shimmer with candy colors, cut from packaging that once crinkled in someone's hand. Their eyes, large and full of story, peer out from carefully painted bottle tops. Their twisty straw noses curl in laughter, not menace. This isn't just decor. It's choreography. And in that moment, these tiny creatures remind you, flight isn't always real. Sometimes, it's the illusion of joy captured in upcycled form. Bottles that once littered now lift spirits. Because in this garden, even trash can fly. There's a path in the garden where laughter seems to live. It winds past time over stepping stones and curves just beside a row of curious faces, bright playful and sprouting green from their heads. These aren't ordinary planters. They're elves, little guardians made of bottles, cheer, and basil. Each elf wears a pointy hat, often made from a juice box turned upside down or folded cardboard painted cherry red. Their ears stick out wide in felted glory. Their eyes wobble slightly, thanks to glue and gravity. And from the tops of their heads, fragrant herbs grow like wild ideas. Mint, rosemary, lemon balm. Some look surprised. Others grin with mischief. All of them stand together like a jolly herb choir, humming along with the breeze. Because sometimes a garden needs a bit of magic, not from dragons or fairies, but from recycled elves with living hats and cheerful hearts. In the soft hum of the garden afternoon, near the herbs and wind chimes, a pod of whales makes its home, not beneath waves, but in the open air, basking in light and laughter. These whales don't sing. They smile, and instead of salt water, they carry leaves. Each one begins as a plastic bottle, once tossed, now treasured, painted ocean blue, with soft fins cut from old scoops or sturdy paper. Their wide, gentle faces look upward, and from the top, ivy or vines tumble down in a joyous mimicry of a spouting blowhole. They bring the sea to soil, the tide to terrace. This project isn't just decoration, it's transformation. A story of reuse wrapped in smiles. A soft reminder that joy can be made, not bought, and that sometimes what we throw away could have grown gills, if only we let it. Beneath the blooms and beside the sandbox, a miniature jungle has quietly crept in. But this jungle roars with kindness. Its cubs, painted in shades of orange and cheer, are small enough to sit in your palm and proud enough to guard your marigolds. These tiger cubs don't hunt. They grin, made from plastic bottles cut and curved. Each wears